Hello, Planet Sewers. Welcome back to the Houston Zoo. This week we do have Beezy builds and Zoove's contributions inside the zoo. So just a quick flyover and look at some of the things that have changed and just things that have been here. Just giving you guys a look, and we're gonna hop in to Zoove's build. So I did have to change it a little bit. So that was a sneak peek. This is the build that was provided to me. Unfortunately, they were not in the same file as the one that Beezy built in. And right here is the Babirusa habitat, and the build was a little bit close to it, as well as all the support buildings were gone. So what I ended up doing is making a blueprint out of this. And so here's our view of what it looks like from above and what it looks like after I got done. So anyway, I made a blueprint and I was going to put it over and it wouldn't work. So I ended up just moving all of the items as a group over here and then making adjustments to get it to fit into the space, as well as add a few elements that the Houston Zoo has that weren't quite present in the build yet. So I decided I would take these wonderful walls that Zoove's made and push them all back so that they would go right up against the path back there. And I added in the null barrier, and I liked the idea that Zoove's had with the door over there. Also, when I got the file, there was no habitat. Technically, it was more implied. There were no animals in it. So that was another reason I went ahead and just kind of spread it out and made adjustments. So I was covering this door here. I liked the idea that he had. So the habitat gate is right there. And I'm just using many of these little guys to cover up the door there. And in the Houston Zoo, I think that Google Earth has maybe one rendition of it and then another rendition of this habitat, like it got updated. So it was really hard to tell which way it is currently. So what I did was tried to add a little bit more land for the orangutans to have. I also wasn't sure where all the water was. I did notice in all the views that there was water on the backside where I'm headed now. There's quite a bit of foliage, and I had already preset where the viewing areas were with these circles. So I opened up that side over there and moved some of the plants around. And I really like this little grate here for like water filtration, I guess. So I wanted to add a little bit of water flow happening with it. And then getting this bridge into place, which was a little bit of a challenge, as you could see. And then bringing the rest of this wall over here to actually meet up with that bridge. And then we're gonna go and work on the viewing areas from each other side. So they have a main viewing area when you walk up to it from the World of Primate entrance, and then they have a walk around, and you have a viewing area right where I'm adding those rocks, and then there's that viewing area that I started on over there. And so I wanted the path to actually go in front of the habitat. So I ended up getting rid of some of the path work I'd already done. I guess I had envisioned something a little bit different than what Zoove's did, and that's okay. Everybody thinks differently, but I did want the path to go right up there. So I went ahead and did that. And so then I decided I would go ahead and finish this little breeze block, I think it's called, all the way around. So no sense in doing that over and over and over again. So there's the start and the finish as we get over here. And then I decided I would bring these rocks all across. At first I really loved it, and then as I got a little further into it, I wasn't 100% happy with how it turned out. I was really trying to make it look more like one area versus, I can't get rid of those curves on the game. And the way I've got the path right here, getting all this to connect in the way that makes sense and that they're able to walk without going through some of these things isn't possible. So I did want to cover up all the grass here, but I did go back and get rid of some of the rocks that are here, and eventually I'll put some plants, and with the end result I'm pretty happy with how it turned out right in front of here. So I've did a really good job with the walls and the plants that are in here, as well as the climbing rigs. It's a super pretty habitat. I just needed to get it into the same file as Beezy's build, as well as get it to fit in the space that it needed to be in. But anyways, so this is me trying to just pretty up this area, and right about here is where I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I'm trying to get rid of some stuff. But unfortunately, I won't have Beezy with me today. He said he was feeling under the weather and just to go ahead and do his tour part without him. So I decided to include the speed build of rearranging the build that Zoove's did to get it to fit in the space in the same zoo as Beezy's. I guess there were two different versions, and somehow one had more work than the other. It happens. And so I'm building this viewing area, and I was a little mad at myself when I got done with it. I thought it turned out really good. Unfortunately, it does look very different in the Houston Zoo than what I built. I walked around a couple of times, and I had the wrong image, I guess, in my head. I had the other viewing area in my mind, but that's okay. I think it turned out pretty good, and it flows well. I didn't have enough room to really make it as long of a viewing area as it really is. So it's just a nice walk in and peek, and then you can move on, just like this one. So we have glass on this one, and then they have a really pretty, what do you call it? I guess a path cover right here. It's been raining a lot here, so my sinuses are acting up, so I'm a little congested, I guess. But anyway, sorry about that. Makes my voice kind of funny. But I originally started this with some logs that I realized were climbable, and so just in case the orangutans could make it over here, I went ahead and changed them out for this African log, which is not climbable, and changed all the colors so it's one color. I always do that. I don't know. It's just the way I like that log most of the time. And then stretching this out to go over that little circular path area, because they do have a little seating area back there. So I wanted to go ahead and put that in as well. So I tried a couple of versions for this to get it out to that edge, and I didn't like the first two. So I ended up using the 2 meter and then putting the 1 meter in between, and then bringing a support one over like so, and then get the plant that they had on top. It looked like just kind of like an ivy vine, but not really. I'm not sure what they are. Not an ivy, but more like a climbing tree almost was up there. So I decided I would just put an arrow wood bush up there, and then using that same plaster piece that Zoove had used in the walls to create a nice little curved wall right here around the path, getting some of my plants out of the way that I had moved around earlier. Wasn't sure how everything was going to work over here. Originally I had changed the color, but I guess I didn't hit enter good enough. So we're going to put our little benches in and sinking some trees in the ground so that it can have some tall bush-like feels right there, and then going ahead and giving a little height definition as they kind of get smaller and get closer to the Babirusa habitat. And then I just copied this right here and then moved some of the plants all around so it wouldn't look too duplicated, and then using this bush to fill in right over here and covering up all that rock work that I did. But I think this looks way better, and you do have a little definition, I guess, with that rock there that makes it different than everything else. Instead of just having the grass or some soil, there's a water glitch right there. It was really weird, so I just stuck a rock over it. Yep. Anyway, so they do have kind of a little platform, so I used the food platform for the bottom that goes out of the water right there. So I did add a little bit more of them to their climbing structure. I was also trying to get them to be able to get to the other side of the habitat. It seems to be a struggle when I have these split habitats like that, trying to get them to be able to climb over different things. I thought that they would be able to swim, but I guess they don't. So I had to come up with a different plan. And here is where I had decided I'm going to go ahead and just kind of make just a big bush flower bed, I guess, a bush bed. I don't know what you call that. But anyway, and then I covered the curb with a little more of the same rock right there that's throughout the habitat. Finally got them to the other side, so I did have to raise the rocks in order to keep them in the habitat, adding those breeze bricks to go around over the curb. And I decided just to use an in-game fence right here. I thought it did a good job of getting the basic look of the bridge that they have that goes across right here, where you can peek in as you actually enter the worthing world of primates. And putting in the finishing touches of foliage. I don't know. Somebody says I say it wrong. There's a lot of things I just can't say sometimes. And so I'm going to put just a bunch of these different plants through here at different heights. I made a little group of them just to fill this in. And then getting this little rope fence that just barely runs on the edge. Right here, I did make a couple of different custom billboards. I guess I hit a button, and so you'll just have to see what I ended up with. As we walk past it, I do take a good look at it, because I did try to kind of duplicate the signs that they had. So here we are with the adjusted habitat to fit the space, as well as adding in the different viewing points. So just a couple little schematics as we look around from viewing point to viewpoint. So now it does go all the way around from the world of primates on each side, and we have our random babirusa habitat over there. And I do remember those being there, thinking that's just a weird space for them, but that's where they are. So that's where mine will be too. And so we're gonna actually walk around a little bit. I skipped the intro of the zoo this time, and we're just gonna go straight into the world of primates. Eventually on the right, it'll all be filled in. It will not be so vast and open. And we're gonna take this route to go around the first time, and they're super excited about their view. And we have the orangutans doing a dance across the water there. And you do have a pretty good view of them from over here. And I need to, I guess, add some names to that wall over there, because it kind of looked like it was, for donors and stuff. A lot of zoos have different areas with that. And then we have our first viewing area over here. That's nice and shady. And then this actually won't have a concrete wall at some point. We'll fix the babirusas. And I love the little makeshift education sign that Zoove had put right there. And then we have this little viewpoint where you can kind of see the water. I think the Houston Zoo, they do get in the water, but I don't think ours can, and that's okay. And as we go around this way, when you come out, you'll see the babirusa at some point. They're just blocked in until I build their habitat. Theirs is pretty simple, I think. And then there's the little education stuff I had made about lemurs and scenting. I was able to actually read it from Google Earth, so I went ahead and made my own. And then over here will be the walkthrough of the world of primates. And now we're gonna go check out Beezy's build and see what the gorillas and the chimpanzees turned out to be. I was super excited about this build. Beezy did an amazing job with the scenery and replicating what the look is of this enclosure at the Houston Zoo for the habitat. Houston Zoo does have quite a few more buildings and a huge kind of African area that you walk through. So I'm going to try to incorporate that without encroaching on his build too much. And then just a beautiful view as you step over here, and they have tons of space. They actually have a warthog, not a warthog, but they do have a river, some kind of river hog that live in there with them as well. I could see Beezy tried to put that into the build. I saw some in the trade center. I guess they didn't make it. That's okay. And then over here you have the chimpanzees, and at the Houston Zoo it's a much bigger building, but you do have this kind of view. You have the chimpanzees, and then you can turn around and walk into a different room and you can see the support center and a little bit of area for the gorillas. And we're going to do a little flyover and some cinematics. I hope Beezy feels better and heals fast. He does amazing work. I wish he could have been here to tell you guys about his build, but instead you get me today. So next week what we will be doing is adding in North America DLC. So excited. I'll go ahead and plop the link to the DLC video I put out last week. So if you are curious what the changes will be, you can go check out that video if you haven't already. Also, make sure you go and subscribe to Beezy's new channel and go check out Zoove's channel. Sorry. I'll put both of those in the description as well. And I hope you guys have an amazing week. I look forward to seeing you guys in my streams as well as in the next videos coming this week. I hope you have a wonderful day, and may the RNG odds be ever in your favor.